Cecily! Surely such a utilitarian occupation as the watering of flowers is rather Moulton's duty than yours. Especially at a moment when such intellectual pleasures await you. Your German grammar's on the table. Pre-open it to page 15. We'll repeat yesterday's lesson.
I don't like German. It isn't at all a becoming language. I know perfectly well that I look quite plain after my German lesson.
Child, you know how anxious your guardian is for you to improve yourself in every way. He laid particular stress on your German as he's leaving for town yesterday. Indeed, he always lays stress on your German when he's leaving for town.
Uncle Jack is so very serious. Sometimes I think he is so serious that he cannot be quite well.
Your guardian enjoys the best of health, and his grand demeanour is to be commended in one so comparatively young as he is. I know no one of the highest sense of duty and responsibility.
I suppose that is why he often looks a little bored when we three are together.
Cecily, I'm surprised at you. Mr. Worthing has many troubles in his life. Idle merriment and triviality are out of place in his conversation. And you must remember his constant anxiety about that unfortunate young man, his brother.
I wish Uncle Jack would allow that unfortunate young man, his brother, to come down here sometimes. We might have a good influence over him, Miss Prism. I'm sure you certainly would. You know German and geology, and things of that sort influence a man very much.
I'm not certain that even I could produce an effect on a character that, according to his own brother's admission, is irretrievably weak and vacillating. Indeed, I'm not certain that I would desire to reclaim him. I'm not at all in favour of this modern mania for turning bad people into good people at a moment's notice. As a man sows, so let him reap. You must put your diary away, Cecily. Indeed, I do not see why you should keep a diary at all.
I keep a diary in order to enter the wonderful secrets of my life. If I didn't write them down, I should probably forget all about them.
Memory, my dear Cecily, is a diary that we all carry about with us.
Yes, but it usually chronicles things that have never happened and couldn't possibly have happened. I believe memory is responsible for nearly all the 3-volume novels that Moody sends us.
Do not speak slightingly of a 3-volume novel, Cecily. I wrote one myself in earlier days.
Did you really, Miss Prism? How wonderfully clever you are. I hope it did not end happily. I don't like novels that end happily. They depress me so much.
The good ended happily and the bad unhappily. That is what fiction means.
I suppose so, but it seems very unfair. Was your novel ever published?
Alas, no. The manuscript, unfortunately, was abandoned. I use the word in the sense of lost and mislaid. Back to your work, child. These speculations are profitless.
But I see dear Dr. Chasuble coming up through the garden.
Dear Dr. Chasuble, this is indeed a pleasure.
And how are we this morning? Miss Prism, I trust you are well.
Miss Prism has just been complaining of a slight headache. I think it would do her so much good to have a short stroll with you in the park, Dr. Chasuble.
Cecily, I have not said anything to you about a headache.
No, dear Miss Prism, I know that. But I felt instinctively that you had a headache. Indeed, I was thinking about that and not about my German lesson when the rector came in.
I hope, my dear Cecily, you are not inattentive.
Oh, I'm afraid I am.
That is strange. Were I fortunate enough to be Miss Prism's pupil, I would hang upon her lips. I spoke metaphorically. My metaphor was drawn from bees. I do not suppose Mr. Worthing has returned from town yet.
We do not expect him until Monday afternoon.
Ah, yes. He usually likes to spend his Sundays in London. Indeed, he is not one of those whose sole purpose is enjoyment, as by all accounts that unfortunate young man, his brother, seems to be. But I must not disturb Egeria and her pupil any longer.
Egeria? My name is Rhodesia, Doctor.
A classical allusion, merely, drawn from the pagan authors. I shall see you both, no doubt at evensong.
I think, dear Doctor, that I will have a stroll with you. I find I have a headache after all, and a good.
With pleasure, Miss Prism, with pleasure. We might go as far as the schools and
Oh,
back.
that would be wonderful. Cecily, you will do your political economy in my absence. The chapter on the fall of the rupee you may omit. It is somewhat too sensational. Even these metallic problems have their melodramatic side.
Horrid political economy, horrid geography, horrid German.
Mr. Ernest Worthing has just driven over from the station, and he has brought his luggage with him.
Mr. Ernest Worthing, B4 the Albany West. Uncle Jack's brother. Did you tell him Mr. Worthing was in town?
Yes, miss. He seemed very much disappointed. I also mentioned that you and Miss Prism were in the garden, and he seemed very much anxious to speak to you privately for a moment.
Ask Mr. Ernest Worthing to come out here. And I suppose you'd better talk to the housekeeper about a room for him.
Yes, miss.
I have never met any really wicked person before. I feel rather frightened. I'm so afraid he will look just like everyone else. He does.
You are my little cousin Cecily, I'm sure.
You are under some strange mistake. I am not little. In fact, I believe I am more than usually tall for my age. But I am your cousin Cecily. And you, I see from your card, are Uncle Jack's brother. My cousin Ernest. My wicked cousin Ernest.
Oh, I'm not really wicked at all, cousin Cecily. You mustn't think I've been wicked.
If you are not, then you have certainly been deceiving us all in a very inexcusable manner. I hope you have not been leading a double life, pretending to be wicked and being really good all the time. That would be hypocrisy.
Of course I have been rather reckless.
I'm glad to hear it.
In fact, now that you mention the subject, I have been very bad in my own small way.
I don't think you should be so proud of that. Though I'm sure it must have been very pleasant.
It's as much pleasanter being here with you.
I can't understand how you are here at all. Uncle Jack won't be back until Monday afternoon.
Oh, that is a great disappointment. For I am obliged to go up by the first train on Monday morning. I have a business appointment that I am anxious to miss.
Wouldn't you miss it anywhere but in London?
No, the appointment is in London.
Well, I know, of course, how important it is not to keep a business engagement if one wants to retain any sense of the beauty of life. But I still think you had better wait for Uncle Jack to arrive. I know he wants to speak to you about your emigrating.
About my what?
You're emigrating. Oh, he's gone up to buy your outfit.
I wouldn't let Jack buy my clothes. He has no taste in neckties whatsoever.
Don't think he will require neckties. Uncle Jack is sending you to Australia.
Australia? I'd sooner die.
Well, he said at dinner on Wednesday that you would have to choose between this world, the next world, and Australia.
Oh. Well, the accounts I have received of Australia and the next world are not particularly encouraging. This world's good enough for me, cousin Cecily.
Yes, but are you good enough for it?
I'm afraid I'm not that. That is why I would like you to reform me. You might make that your mission if you would, cousin Cecily.
I'm afraid I've no time this afternoon.
Well, would you mind my reforming myself this afternoon?
That is rather quixotic of you, but I think you should try.
I will. I feel better already.
You are looking a little worse.
Because I am hungry.
Oh, how thoughtless of me. I should have remembered that when one is going to lead an entirely new life, one requires regular and wholesome meals. Won't you come in?
Thank you. Might I have a buttonhole first? I never have any appetite unless I have a buttonhole first.
A Marechal Neil?
No, I'd sooner have a pink rose.
Why?
Because you are rather like a pink rose, cousin Cecily.
I don't think it can be right for you to talk to me like that. Miss Prism never says such things to me.
Then Miss Prism is a short-sighted old lady. You are the prettiest girl I ever saw.
Miss Prism says all good looks are a snare.
Well, they are a snare. One that every sensible man would love to be caught in.
Oh, I don't think I should care to catch a sensible man. I shouldn't know what to talk to him about.
You are much too alone, dear Dr. Chasuble. You should get married. A misanthrope I can understand. A womanthrope never.
Believe me, I do not deserve so neologistic phrase. The precept as well as the practice of the primitive church was distinctly against matrimony.
That is obviously the reason why the primitive church has not lasted up to the present day. And you do not seem to realize, dear doctor, that by persistently remaining single, a man converts himself into a permanent public temptation. Men should be more careful. This very celibacy leads weaker vessels astray.
What? Is a man not equally attractive when married?
A married man is never attractive except to his wife.
Often I've been told, not even to her.
That depends upon the intellectual sympathies of the woman. Maturity can always be depended upon. Ripeness can be trusted. Young women are green. I spoke horticulturally. My metaphor was drawn from fruits. But where is Cecily?
Perhaps she followed us to the school.
Mr. Worthing!
Mr. Worthing?
Oh, this is indeed a surprise. We had not expected you until Monday afternoon.
I have returned sooner than I expected. Dr. Chasuble, I hope you are well.
Dear Mr. Worthing, I trust this garb of woe does not betoken some terrible calamity.
My brother.
More shameful debts and extravagance.
Still leading his life of pleasure.
Dead.
Your brother Ernest, dead.
Oh, he's quite dead.
What a lesson for him. I trust he'll profit from it.
My dear Mr. Worthing, I offer you my sincere condolence. You have at least the consolation of knowing that you are always the most generous and forgiving of brothers.
Oh, poor Ernest. He had many faults, but it is a sad, sad blow.
Very sad indeed. Were you with him at the inn?
Oh, no. He seems to have died abroad, in Paris, in fact. I received a telegram last night from the manager of the Grand Hotel.
Was the cause of death mentioned?
Oh, a severe chill, it seems.
As a man sows, so let him reap.
Charity, dear Miss Prism, charity. None of us are perfect. I myself am peculiarly susceptible to draughts. Will the interment take place here?
No, he seems to have expressed a desire to be buried in Paris.
Paris? I fear that hardly points to any very serious state of mind at the last. You will no doubt wish me to make some slight allusion to this tragic domestic affliction next Sunday. My sermon on the meaning of manna in the wilderness can be adapted to nearly any occasion, pleasant or, as in the present circumstances, most distressing. I've preached it at confirmations and christenings, on days of humiliation, and festival days. In fact, the last time I delivered it was as a charity sermon on behalf of the in the cathedral, on behalf of the Society for the Prevention of Discontent among the upper orders. The bishop who was present was much struck by some of the analogies I drew.
That reminds me, Dr. Johnson. You mentioned christenings, I think. Now, you know how to christen, all right? I mean, you are continually christening, aren't you?
It is, I regret to say, one of the rector's most constant duties in this parish. I've often spoken to the poorer classes on the subject, but they do not seem to know what thrift is.
But is there any particular infant in whom you are interested, Mr. Worthing? Your brother was unmarried, I believe, was he not?
Oh, yes.
All who live purely for pleasure generally are.
But it is not for any child, dear doctor, though I am very fond of children. No, the fact is, I would like to be christened myself. This afternoon, if you have nothing better to do.
But surely you have been christened already.
Oh, I don't remember anything about it.
Have you any grave doubts on the subject?
Oh, I certainly intend to have. But I don't know if it would bother you in any way, or if you think I'm a little too old for it.
Not at all, not at all. The sprinkling and indeed immersion of adults is a perfectly canonical practice.
Immersion?
Oh, not to worry, Mr. Worthing. I think Sprinkling is all that is necessary, or indeed advisable. Our weather is so changeable. What time would you wish the ceremony performed?
Oh, I might trot round about 5, if that would suit you.
Admirably, admirably. In fact, I have 2 similar cases to perform at that time. Twins, I believe, who occurred in one of the outlying cottages on your own estate. Poor Jenkins the Carter, I believe, a most hard-working man.
But I don't see much fun in being baptized with other babes. It would be childish. Would 5:30?
Perfectly, perfectly. And now, Mr. Worthing, I will not intrude any longer into a house of sorrow. I would merely beg you not to be too bowed down by grief. And remember, what seem to us bitter trials are often blessings in disguise.
This seems to me a blessing of an extremely obvious kind.
Oh, Uncle Jack, I am so pleased to see you back. What horrid clothes you have got on. Do go and change them.
Cecily!
My dear child.
What is the matter, Uncle Jack? You do look happy. You look as if you had a toothache. And I've got such a surprise for you. Who do you think is in the dining room? Your brother. Your brother Ernest. Oh, he arrived about half an hour ago.
What nonsense! I haven't got a brother.
Oh, don't say that, Uncle Jack. However badly he may have behaved to you in the past, he is still your brother. You couldn't be so heartless as to disown him. I will tell him to come out, and you will shake hands with him. Won't you, Uncle Jack?
These are very joyful tidings.
Resigned to his loss, his sudden appearance seems to me particularly distressing.
My brother is in the dining room. I don't know what it all means. I think it's perfectly absurd. Oh, good heavens!
Brother John, I have come down from town to tell you how very sorry I am for all the trouble I've given you, and that I intend to live a better life in the future.
Uncle Jack, you are not going to refuse your own brother's hand.
Nothing will induce me to take his hand. I find his coming down here disgraceful, and he knows perfectly well why.
Do be nice, Uncle Jack. There is some good in everyone. Ernest has just been telling me of his poor invalid friend, Mr. Bunbury. He goes to visit so often. Surely there must be much good in one who is kind to an invalid. And these are the pleasures of London, to sit by a bed of pain.
Oh, he's been talking to you about Bunbury, has he?
Yes, he's told me all about poor Mr. Bunbury. His terrible state of health.
Well, I won't allow him to talk to you about Bunbury or about anything else. It's enough to drive one perfectly frantic.
Of course, I admit all the faults were on my part. But I must say, Brother John's coldness to me is peculiarly painful. I had expected a more enthusiastic welcome, especially since this is the first time I have come here.
Uncle Jack, if you don't shake hands with Ernest, I will never forgive you.
Never forgive him.
Never, never, never.
This is the last time I shall ever do it.
It's pleasant, is it not, to see so perfect a reconciliation? I think we might leave the two brothers alone together.
Cecily, you will come with us.
Certainly, Miss Prison. The little task of reconciliation is over.
You have done a beautiful action today, dear child.
Let us not be premature in our judgments.
Very happy.
Algy, you young scoundrel! You've got to get out of here at once. I don't allow any Bunbury here.
I have put Mr. Ernest Worthing's things in the room next to yours, sir. I suppose that is all right.
What?
His luggage, sir. I have unpacked it and put it in the room next to your own.
His luggage?
Yes, sir. 3 portmanteaux, 2 hat boxes, a dressing case, and a large luncheon basket.
I'm afraid I can't stay more than a week this time.
Merrily. Order the dark art at once. Mr. Ernest has been suddenly called back to town.
Yes, sir.
Oh, what a fearful liar you are, Jack. I haven't been called back to town at all.
Yes, you have.
I didn't hear anybody call me.
Your duty as a gentleman calls you back.
My duty as a gentleman has never interfered with my pleasures in the smallest degree.
I can quite understand that.
Well, Cecily is a darling.
You are not to talk of Miss Cardew like that. I don't like it.
Well, I don't like your clothes. You look perfectly ridiculous in them. Why on earth don't you go up and change? It is perfectly childish for you to be in mourning for a man who is actually staying with you as a guest for a whole week. I call it grotesque.
You're certainly not staying in my house for a week as a guest or as anything else. You've got to leave by the 4:05 train.
But I certainly won't leave so long as you're in mourning. It would be most unfriendly. You would stay with me, I suppose, if I were in mourning. I should think it very unkind if you didn't.
Well, will you go if I change my clothes?
Yes, if you are not too long about it. I never saw anybody take so long to dress, and with such little result.
At any rate, that is better than being always overdressed as you are.
If I am occasionally a little overdressed, I make up for it by being always immensely overeducated.
Your vanity is ridiculous. Your conduct an outrage. And your presence here in my garden utterly absurd. However, you have got to leave by the 4:05, and I hope you will have a pleasant journey back to town. This bunburying, as you call it, has not been a great success for you.
Well, I think it has been a great success. I am in love with Cecily, and that is everything. Oh, but I must go and see her before I leave, and make arrangements for another Bunbury. Ah, there she is.
I merely came back to water the roses. I thought you were with Uncle Jack.
He's gone to order the dog cart for me.
Is he going to take you for a nice drive?
He's going to send me away.
Have we got to part?
I'm afraid so. It is a very painful parting.
It's always painful to part with anyone whom one has known such a very brief space of time. The absence of old friends one can endure with equanimity, but even a momentary separation from anyone to whom one has just met is almost unbearable.
Thank you.
The dog cart is at the door, sir.
It can wait, Merriman, for 5 minutes.
Yes, miss.
I hope, Cecily, that I shall not offend you if I state quite frankly and openly that you seem to me to be in every way the visible personification of absolute perfection.
I think your frankness does you great credit, Ernest. If you will allow me, I will copy your remarks into my diary.
Do you really keep a diary? I'd give anything to look at it. May I?
Oh, no. It is simply a very young girl's record of her own thoughts and impressions. It's consequently meant for publication. When it appears in volume form, I hope you will order a copy. But pray, Ernest, don't stop. I delight in taking down some dictation. I have reached absolute perfection. You can go on. I'm quite ready for more. Don't cough, Ernest. When one is dictating, one should speak fluently and not cough. Besides, I don't know how to spell a cough.
Cecily, ever since I first looked upon your wonderful and incomparable beauty, I have dared to love you, wildly, passionately, devotedly, hopelessly.
I don't think it can be right for you to tell me you love me wildly, passionately, devotedly, hopelessly. Hopelessly doesn't seem to make much sense, does it?
Cecily!
The dog cart is waiting, sir.
Tell it to come round next week, at the same hour.
Yes, sir.
Uncle Jack would be very much annoyed if he knew you were staying on till next week, at the same hour.
Oh, I don't care about Jack. I don't care for anybody in the world but you. I love you, Cecily. You will marry me, won't you?
You silly boy, of course. Oh, we've been engaged for the last 3 months.
For the last 3 months? But how on earth did we become engaged?
Well, ever since dear Uncle Jack first confessed to us that he had a younger brother, who was very wicked and bad, You, of course, became the chief topic of conversation between myself and Miss Prism. And, of course, anyone who is much talked about is always very attractive. One feels there must be something in him after all. Oh, I dare say it was foolish of me, but I fell in love with you, Ernest.
Darling. And when was the engagement actually settled?
On the 14th of February last. Worn out by your entire ignorance of my existence, I determined to end the matter one way or the other. And after a long struggle with myself, I accepted you under this dear old tree here. The next day I bought this little ring in your name. And this is the bangle with the true lover's knot I promised you always to wear.
Did I give you this? It's very pretty, isn't it?
Yes, you've wonderfully good taste, Ernest. It's the excuse I've always given for your leading such a bad life. And this is the box in which I keep all your dear letters.
My letters? But my own sweet Cecily, I've never written you any letters.
It hardly reminds me of that, Ernest. I remember only too well that I was forced to write your letters for you. I wrote always 3 times a week, and sometimes oftener.
Do let me read them.
Oh no, I couldn't possibly. It would make you far too conceited. The 3 you wrote me after I had broken off the engagement were so beautiful and so badly spelled that even now I can hardly read them without crying a little.
But was the engagement ever broken off?
Of course it was, on the 22nd of last March. You can see the entry if you like. Today I broke off my engagement with Ernest. I feel it is better to do so. The weather still continues charming.
But why on earth did you break it off? What had I done? I had done nothing at all. Cecily, I am very much hurt indeed to hear that you broke it off. Particularly when the weather was so charming.
It would have hardly been a really serious engagement if it hadn't been broken off at least once. But I forgave you before the week was out.
What a perfect angel you are, Cecily.
You dear romantic boy. I hope your hair curls naturally, does it?
Yes, darling, with a little help from Mary and Nancy.
I'm glad to hear it.
Cecily, you will never break off the engagement again.
I don't think I can break it off now that I've actually met you. Besides, of course, there is the matter of your name.
Yes, of course.
You must not laugh at me, darling. It has always been a girlish dream of mine to marry someone whose name was Earnest. The name alone seems to inspire one with absolute confidence. I pity any poor married woman whose husband is not called Earnest.
But my own love, do you mean to say that you could not love me if I had some other name?
But what other name?
Oh, any name you like. Algernon, for instance.
But I don't like the name Algernon.
My own dear, sweet, loving little darling. I really don't see why you should object to the name of Algernon. It is not at all a bad name. It is rather an aristocratic name. Half of the chaps who get into the bankruptcy court are called Algernon. But seriously, Cecily, if my name was Algie, couldn't you love me?
I might respect you, Ernest. I might admire your character. But I feel I should not be able to give you my undivided attention.
Cecily, your rector here is, I suppose, thoroughly experienced in all the rites and ceremonials of the church?
Oh, yes. Dr. Chasuble is a most learned man. He has never written a single book, so you can imagine how much he knows.
I must see him at once on a most important christening, on a most important business.
Ernest!
I shan't be gone more than half an hour.
Considering we have been engaged since the 14th of February last, and that I have just met you for the first time, I think it is rather hard that you should leave me for so long a period as half an hour. Couldn't you make it 20 minutes?
I shall be back in no time.
What an impetuous boy he is! But I like his hair so much. I must enter his proposal in my diary.
And Miss Fairfax has just called to see Mr. Worthing on very important business, Miss Fairfax states.
Is it Mr. Worthing in his library?
Mr. Worthing went over in the direction of the rectory some time ago.
Pray ask the lady to come out here, and you can bring tea.
Yes, miss.
Miss Fairfax. I suppose one of the many elderly good women associated with Uncle Jack in some of his philanthropic work. I don't quite like women interested in philanthropic work. I think it is so forward of them.
Miss Fairfax.
Pray allow me to introduce myself to you. My name is Cecily Cardew.
Cecily Cardew? What a very sweet name. Something tells me we are going to be great friends. I like you already more than I can say.
How kind of you to like me so much after we've known each other such a comparatively short time. Pray, sit down.
I may call you Cecily, may I not?
With pleasure,
You will always call me Gwendolyn, won't you?
if you wish.
That is all quite settled, is it not?
I hope so.
I suppose this would be a favourable opportunity for mentioning who I am. My father is Lord Bracknell. You have never heard of Papa, I suppose?
I don't think so.
Outside the family circle, Papa, I am glad to say, is entirely unknown. I think that is quite as it should be. The home seems to me the proper sphere for the man. And certainly, once a man begins to neglect his domestic duties, he becomes painfully effeminate, does he not? I don't like that. It makes men so very attractive. Cecily, Mamma, whose views on education are remarkably strict, has brought me up to be extremely short-sighted. It's part of her system. So, would you mind my looking at you through my glass?
Oh, not at all, Gwendolyn. I'm quite fond of being looked at.
You are here on a short visit, I suppose.
Oh, no, I live here.
Really? Your mother or female relative of advanced years resides here also?
Oh, no, I have no mother. Nor, in fact, any relations.
Indeed.
My dear guardian, with the assistance of Miss Prism, has the arduous task of looking after me.
Your guardian?
Oh, yes, I am Mr. Worthing's ward.
Oh. It is strange he never mentioned to me that he had a ward. How very secretive of him. He grows more interesting hourly. I am not sure, however, that this news inspires me with feelings of unmixed delight. Cecily, I have liked you ever since I met you, but now that I know that you are Mr. Worthing's ward, I must express a wish that you were, well, a little bit older than you appear to be, and not quite so very alluring in appearance. In fact, if I may speak candidly.
Oh, pray do, Gwendolyn. I think whenever anyone has anything unpleasant to say, the one should always be quite candid.
Well, to be perfectly candid, Cecily, I wish that you were fully 42 and more than usually plain for your age. Ernest has a strong, upright nature. He is the very soul of truth and honor. Disloyalty would be as impossible to him as deception. But even men of the noblest possible moral character are extremely susceptible to the physical charms of others. Modern, no less ancient history supplies us with many most painful examples of what I refer to. Indeed, if it were not so, history would be quite unreadable.
I beg your pardon, Gwendolyn. Did you say Ernest?
Yes.
No, but it is not Mr. Ernest Worthing who is my guardian. It is his brother. His elder brother.
Ernest never mentioned to me that he had a brother.
I'm sorry to say they have not been on good terms for a long time.
Ah, that accounts for it. And now that I think of it, I have never heard any man mention his brother. The subject seems distasteful to most men. Cecily, you have lifted a load from my mind. I was growing almost anxious, and it would have been terrible if any cloud had come across a friendship like ours, would it not? Still, you are quite sure that it is not Mr. Ernest Worthing who is your guardian?
Quite sure. In fact, I'm going to be his.
I beg your pardon?
There's no sense in making a secret of it to you, Gwendolyn. A little county newspaper is sure to chronicle the fact next week. Mr. Ernest Worthing and I are engaged to be married.
My darling Cecily, I feel there must be some slight error. Mr. Ernest Worthing is engaged to me. The announcement will appear on the Morning Post on Saturday at the very latest.
I'm afraid you must be under some misconception, Miss Fairfax. Ernest proposed to me exactly 10 minutes ago.
But that is certainly very curious, for he asked me to be his wife yesterday afternoon at 5:30. If you would care to verify the incident, pray do so. I never travel without my diary. One should always have something sensational to read on the train. I am so sorry, dear Cecily, if it is any disappointment to you, but I am afraid I have the prior claim.
It pains me more than I can tell you, Gwendolen, if it has caused you any mental or physical anguish. But I feel bound to point out that since Ernest proposed to you, well, he has clearly changed his mind.
If the poor boy has been entrapped into any foolish promise, I shall feel it my duty to rescue him at once and with a firm hand.
Whatever entanglement my poor boy may have gotten into, I will never reproach him with it after we are married.
Do you allude to me, Miss Cardew, as an entanglement? You are presumptuous. On an occasion of this kind, it becomes more than a moral duty to speak one's mind. It becomes a pleasure.
Do you suggest, Miss Fairfax, that I entrapped Ernest into an engagement? How dare you? This is no time for wearing the shallow mask of manners. When I see a spade, I call it a spade.
I'm glad to say that I have never seen a spade. It is obvious that our social spheres have been widely different.
Shall I lay the tea here as usual, miss?
Yes, as usual.
Are there many interesting walks in the vicinity, Miss Cardew?
Oh, yes, a great many. From the top of one of the hills quite close, one can see 5 counties.
5 counties? I don't think I should like that. I hate crowds.
I suppose that is why you live in town.
Quite a well-kept garden, this is, Miss Cardew.
So glad you like it, Miss Fairfax.
I had no idea there were any flowers in the country.
Flowers are as common here, Miss Fairfax, as people are in London.
Personally, I cannot understand how anybody resides in the country. If anybody who is anybody does. The country always bores me to death.
I suppose that is what the newspapers call agricultural depression, is it not? The aristocracy are suffering from it very much just at present, I have been told. I hear it is almost an epidemic amongst them. Tea, Miss Fairfax.
Thank you. Detestable girl. But I require tea.
Sugar?
No, thank you. Sugar is not fashionable anymore.
Cake or bread and butter?
Bread and butter, please. Cake is rarely seen at the best houses nowadays.
And that to Miss Fairfax.
Oh. You have filled my tea with lumps of sugar, and though I most distinctly asked for bread and butter, you have given me cake. I am known for the gentleness of my disposition and the extraordinary sweetness of my nature. But I warn you, Miss Cardew, you may go too far.
To save my poor innocent trusty boy from the machinations of any other girl, there are no lengths to which I would not go.
From the moment I saw you, I distrusted you. I felt that you were false and deceitful. I am never deceived about such matters. My first impressions of people are invariably right.
It seems to me, Miss Fairfax, that I'm trespassing on your valuable time. No doubt you have many other calls of a similar character to make in the neighborhood.
Oh!
Gwendolen, darling.
Ernest, a moment. May I ask if you're engaged to this young lady?
Dear little Cecily. Of course not. What could have put such an idea into your pretty little head?
Thank you, to May.
And there must be some misunderstanding, Miss Fairfax. The gentleman whose arm is at present around your waist is my dear guardian, Mr. John Worthing.
I beg your pardon?
This is Uncle Jack. Oh, here is Ernest.
My own love.
A moment, Ernest. I can ask if you're engaged to be married to this young lady.
It's a what young lady? Good heavens! Gwendolyn!
To Gwendolyn.
Well, of course not! What could have put such an idea into your pretty little head?
Thank you, you may.
Cecily, I felt there must be some slight error. The gentleman who is now embracing you is my cousin, Mr. Algernon Moncrief.
Mr. Algernon Moncrief? Are you called Algernon?
I cannot deny it.
Is your name really John?
I could deny it if I liked. I could deny anything if I liked. But my name certainly is John. It's been John for years.
Gross deception has been practiced on both of us.
My poor wounded Cecily.
My sweet wronged Gwendolyn.
You will call me sister, will you not?
There's one question I would like to be permitted to ask my guardian.
An admirable idea. Mr. Worthing, there is something very particular I would like to be able to put to you. Where is your brother Ernest? We are both engaged to be married to your brother Ernest, so it is of some importance to us to know where your brother is at present.
Gwendolyn, Cecily, it is very painful for me to be forced to speak the truth. It is the first time in my life I've ever been reduced to such a painful position. And I'm really quite inexperienced in doing anything of the kind. However, I may tell you quite frankly that I have no brother, Ernest. I have no brother at all. I've never had a brother, and I have not the smallest intention of ever having one in the future.
No brother at all?
None.
Have you never had a brother of any kind?
Never. Not even of any kind.
I'm afraid it is quite clear, dear Cecily, that neither of us is engaged to be married to anyone.
It's not a very pleasant position for a young girl to suddenly find herself in, is it?
Let us go into the house. They will hardly venture to follow us there.
Certainly not. Men are so cowardly, aren't they?
This ghastly state of things is what you call bunburying, I suppose.
Yes. It's a perfectly wonderful Bunbury it is, too. The most wonderful Bunbury I've had in all my life.
I don't allow you to bunbury here.
Well, that is absurd. One has a right to Bunbury wherever one chooses. Every serious Bunburyist knows that.
Serious bunbury? Good heavens!
One must be serious about something if one wants any amusement in life. I happen to be serious about Bunbury. What on earth you are serious about, I haven't the remotest idea. About everything, I should fancy. You have the most absolutely trivial nature.
Well, the only small consolation I have in the whole of this wretched business is that your friend Bunbury is quite exploded. You won't be able to trot down to the country so often as you used to do, dear aunt. And a very good thing, too.
Your brother is a little off-color, isn't he, dear Jack? You won't be able to disappear to London quite so often as your wicked custom was. And not a bad thing, either.
And as for your conduct towards Miss Carden, I find your taking in a sweet, simple, innocent girl like that to be perfectly inexcusable. To say nothing of the fact that she is my ward.
Well, I can see no possible defense at all for your deceiving a brilliant, clever, and thoroughly experienced young lady like Miss Fairfax. To say nothing of the fact that she is my cousin.
I wanted to be engaged to Gwendolyn. That is all. I love her.
I merely wanted to be engaged to Cecily. I adore her.
Well, there is certainly no chance of your marrying Miss Carden.
I don't think there is much likelihood, Jack, of you and Miss Fairfax ever being united.
That is no business of yours.
If it was my business, I wouldn't talk about it. It is very vulgar to talk of one's business. Only people like stockbrokers do that, and then merely at dinner parties.
How you consider calmly eating muffins while we are in this terrible trouble, I can't make out. It seems to me that you're perfectly heartless.
Well, I certainly can't eat muffins in an agitated manner. The butter would probably get on my cuffs. One should always eat muffins quite calmly. It is the only way to eat them.
I find it perfectly heartless you're eating muffins at all under the circumstances.
Well, when I am in any trouble, eating is the only thing that consoles me. Indeed, when I am in really great trouble, I refuse everything except food and drink. At the present, I am eating muffins because I am unhappy. Besides, I am particularly fond of muffins.
That is no excuse at all to be eating them in a greedy way.
Have some tea cake instead. I don't like tea cake.
Good heavens! I suppose a man may eat his own muffins in his own garden.
But you just said it was perfectly heartless to be eating muffins.
I always said it was perfectly heartless of you under the circumstances. That is a very different thing.
That may be, but the muffins are the same.
Algernon, I wish you would go.
You can't possibly ask me to leave without my dinner first. I never go without my dinner. Nobody ever does, except vegetarians and people of that sort. Besides, I have just made arrangements with Dr. Chasuble to be christened at 5:45 under the name of Earnest.
My dear fellow, the sooner you give up that nonsense, the better. I have made arrangements this morning with Dr. Chasuble to be christened myself at 5:30, and I naturally will take the name of Earnest. Gwendolen would wish it. We can't both be christened Earnest, it's absurd. Besides, I have a perfect right to be christened if I like. There is no evidence at all that I have ever been christened by anybody, and I think it very likely that I never was, and so does Dr. Chasuble. It's entirely different in your case. You have already been christened.
Yes, but I haven't been christened for years.
Yes, but you have been christened. That is the important thing.
Quite so. So I know my constitution can stand it. If you are not sure about your ever having been christened, I dare say it is very dangerous you venturing about it now. It might make you very unwell. You can hardly have forgotten that somebody very closely connected to you was very nearly carried off this week in Paris by a severe chill.
But you said yourself that a severe chill isn't hereditary.
Well, it usedn't to be, but I dare say it is now. Science is always making wonderful improvements in things.
That's nonsense. You are always talking nonsense.
Jack, you're at the muffins again. I wish you wouldn't. There are only 2 left.
But I hate tea cake.
Well, then why on earth do you allow it to be served for your guests? What ideas you have of hospitality.
Algernon, I have already told you to go. I don't want you here. Why don't you go?
I haven't finished my tea yet, and there's still 1 muffin left.